Filled with God's power, the disciples talked about Jesus everywhere they went, and they performed miracles, just like Jesus did. Peter and the others healed people when they prayed in the name of Jesus. A couple of times, when the Sadducees locked them up in the prison, an angel came to bust them out. Then they went right back to talking about Jesus again. Jews all over Jerusalem were hearing about Jesus, and many of them were deciding they wanted to be friends with Jesus too. More and more Jews in Jerusalem were following Jesus. But what about the people who weren't Jews? All the other people of the world, people the Jews called Gentiles. Could they be friends with Jesus? Could they be the children of God too? Ever since the days of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Jewish people had enjoyed a special relationship with God. But God had promised Abraham something. From Abraham's family, from Israel, would come a blessing for the whole world. Remember that promise? Not a blessing only for Israel, a blessing for the whole world. None of Jesus' disciples had given this much thought. God's love wasn't for everyone. It was just for the children of Israel, right? Then Peter had a dream. Well, it wasn't really a dream, it was a vision. What's a vision? It's like a dream, only you aren't sleeping when you have it. One day Peter was on his roof praying. Have you ever prayed on your roof before? No? That's probably because you don't live where Peter lived. Back in Peter's day, roofs were flat. People used their roofs the same way we use back porches and patios today. Peter was praying on his roof when suddenly he had a vision. In this vision, God showed him something that looked like a giant sheet being lowered from the sky. Inside the giant sheet were all the animals the Israelites weren't supposed to eat, according to the laws God gave to Moses, like pigs and camels and rabbits. Then a voice said, "Get up, Peter, kill one of these animals and eat." Peter, who had always followed the Jewish rules about food, said, "No, I have never eaten anything unclean." But then the voice said, "Don't call anything unclean that God has made clean." Peter was very confused. Don't call anything unclean that God has made clean? What did that mean? Peter had no idea. Just then 3 men knocked on Peter's door. They were the servants of a Roman army commander named Cornelius. Cornelius wasn't Jewish. He was a Gentile. Still, Cornelius loved God, and God had given Cornelius a dream of his own. In his dream, an angel had told him to send men to get Peter. The angel even told Cornelius where Peter would be staying. Now Peter knew what his vision meant. Up to that time, Peter and the other disciples had never talked to Gentiles because they believed they were unclean, like the animals the Israelites weren't supposed to eat. But God was telling Peter not to treat anyone like that. Both Jews and Gentiles were God's children. So Peter went to see Cornelius and his family. He told them all about Jesus and the good news, and Cornelius's whole family became followers of Jesus that day. Then Cornelius and his family were filled with God's power. They began speaking in different languages, just like the Jewish believers. Peter and the other disciples were amazed. For the first time, they realized that the good news about Jesus was for everyone. Jesus was the blessing God had promised Abraham, the blessing for the whole world.